Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of our C-Suite Dads video series. I am very excited to be talking with Mike Wapner today. We met about a year ago when we were in a networking group, and he posted something about being an ecological green investor. And I've got a financial advisor. I know about advising enough to know that this sparked my curiosity, and what led to a conversation about, do I need a new financial manager, led to a lot more fruitful conversations around fatherhood, which I was totally not expecting. So I'm excited to invite you all to meet Mike Wapner. Could you share a little bit more about what you do, who you are for our audience?
Sure. Yeah, I'm an independent financial advisor, though I'm a career changer. And we'll get to this in a bit, but I've had a few careers over time. This is probably number 5, planning it to be my last one, though. Originally from the Bronx, New York, but I've been in Chicago area for about 30 years. I am a father of a 21-year-old and an 18-year-old. So I don't know if there are official phases in fatherhood, but I guess I've completed at least the first few.
Yeah.
Brian, you and I have had some good conversations, and I said I'd be happy to contribute what I can to this forum.
Great. So, as you said, you've had multiple careers. I know a bit about those, but how has fatherhood been a through line for you in these various professional lives that you've lived?
Well, there's really, I guess, an origin story, and like with most of us, goes back to my dad. When I was a little kid, we did stuff together. He's a good guy, not at all an athlete, so we kind of didn't connect on that. But by the time I was, I don't know, probably 8, 9, 10, he owned his own business, and he decided he was going to work hard, did a great job providing for the family, but work hard in the near term so he'd be good for his future. And so through my teen years, we really didn't have much of a connection. And then he got sick and passed away right before my junior year of college when I was 20. So this kind of laid a foundation for me, and I really can trace back the choices and decisions I've made in my life to that. I have always been very conscious that the future is not assured, and I also was unwilling to sacrifice too much in the present for the sake of a future, which even if it would come, wouldn't necessarily justify not doing the best I can in the present. And so as I went through college and grad school and a few jobs in corporate America, reached a point one year where I'd been with Motorola for 11 years and things were kind of hairy. And my wife and I chatted, and I said, fine, I'll let him lay me off. Probably could have had some jobs, but they weren't of interest. And at that point, our older daughter was almost a year and a half. And I just said, here's my opportunity to spend time with my young family. We were hoping to have a second, took a little bit to get to that, but eventually did. But that was the key. And part of it was that I knew I was fortunate. I was in a position to be able to make that choice, financially primarily, and not everybody is. But I also, because I was so aware of that, I said I'd be doing myself a disservice. I'd be kind of dishonoring my father if I didn't take this opportunity to make that kind of choice and literally drop out of the workforce for a year or two in order to be a dad. And again, I know not everybody can do this, but for me, it was the right thing to do. But from there, as I thought about what I want to say today, Brian, I realized there are 2 main components to my message, and one is the choices I've made. I just gave you a good example, and the other is the example I set. And kind of continuing on the choices side, as you indicated, I'm a longtime green, environmentally friendly guy. And I decided I was going to change careers totally, not go back into corporate America, which I couldn't really imagine that at that point anyway. And I ended up getting involved in green building, which is a very environmentally friendly business. And I like to say, enabling me to combine my capitalist head with my environmental heart. And I was in that for quite a while, and my girls were growing up, and they could see the kind of interest and enthusiasm I had for the material. I was not being very successful at earning money about it. I was in frequent transition, Though my wife kept saying, no, you need to call it semi-retirement. Anyway, but my girls were able to see that this was something I really cared about, I really wanted to do, and I really, kept at it. That the last kind of choice was when I did decide it was time to move away from green building and decided to become a financial advisor. And this was a real personal goals thing, to be able to go from my early days of megacorps to working with one person or one family at a time and having a significant impact on a few people. And again, this transition was difficult, but it became clear, to my family that this is something I really wanted to do, and I was, paying the price and effort and money, to do it. So, that's kind of the choices. Does that all make sense? I know
Yeah, no, I love it. As you're talking though, I've had a couple conversations recently about as senior leaders in business and senior leaders in our home, so to speak, right? There's these dual competitions of our time and our responsibilities, expectations, what have you. But a lot of the processes are the same, in that sometimes you have to say no to something, right? Like sometimes a business plan, whether that's a new job or a new project that you're working on, it's just not having the ROI that you need, whether that's a bottom line thing or time on task for your team. And you need to be able to say no. Similarly with our children, there are things that they want to do that aren't going to be effective for anyone. And how do we say no? How do we balance them in their growth and development and our own, right? And I hear that through and through, that for you though, it's the bottom line is, how is this fulfilling my duties as a father, so that I am setting that example for my children, not necessarily for my staff or for people I'm working for. Yeah.
Right.
Is that fair?
Well, and picking up on that, there was, I talked about two main themes. One was the choice. The other one was setting the example, and just that was important. And for one thing, we're a middle class family in a upper middle class to upper class town. And that was something that my daughters were fairly conscious of. We didn't have the nicest cars. We weren't going on vacation to the Caribbean and Europe. But my wife and I did constantly remind them, tried to provide a lot of perspective of how, maybe we're the below average in this town, but you guys are so far above average, in the top tier when you look at the broad thing. And we were always very conscious of making sure that they were aware of that and saw that, through activities with our congregation, volunteering and a lot of social justice type of work and that kind of exposure to them. And they continued to see that, because my wife kept volunteering on things in the community. I focused my volunteering on more environmental things. I'm on the board of a local Friends of the Parks organization. We support that. Just became a founding member of our town's new sustainability commission. So they see us keeping this perspective and trying to give back. And ultimately, how did this all work out? And okay, my daughters are now of a sufficient age. You can at least sort of get a midpoint or whatever kind of thing. And they're great kids, great actually young adults. They both did phenomenally academically, through high school and all. But just as an example, the older one, when she went to school for her freshman year, within the first month, she had volunteered for two different organizations. One was a mentoring organization, which is effectively a big sister thing. And the other, she got assigned to a third grade class in the city that she had to take a bus to 45 minutes each way once a week, to just kind of be an assistant to the third grade teacher and helping things out. It's like, my wife and I were, wow, where did that come from? That was cool. And from a different direction, my younger daughter just started her freshman year. And she's starting out anyway, who knows where this goes, but she's starting out as a chemical engineer with a special emphasis on sustainable materials. So, we got a little bit of the social responsibility, we got the environmental stuff going, and they are good, caring people.
Good. Then you've succeeded, or at least for now, you're succeeding.
I don't want to say it's perfect. And every once in a while, my wife and I look at each other and say, "How did that happen? Or did we fail as parents?" But no. And then on the macro, we know things were well, and yeah, things could always be different or better, but yeah, we're good.
So I love hearing about your experiences and what your children are starting to do and achieve. And I feel like because you have that fiscal management mind and the wherewithal to think about how are we financially stable and wealthy to some extent to be able to have this flexibility, as you name, is a real gift and a real presence. And so in closing, I just kind of wonder, as dads listen to you, what are the one or two things that they can be doing to make sure that there's a financial plan to give them some of this freedom within what you can share as a financial advisor? I'll put it that way.
All right. Well, obviously this is going to be real condensed, but
Yeah.
You need to know your goals. You and your partner, whoever's important in your life, sit down and write down your goals, what you want to achieve in life. That's absolutely number one, because that forms the core of your roadmap. And then there's a whole lot of processes that you can go behind it, either formally with a professional or informally. There are books that can help you out, and some of it is just plain old common sense to make sure you're on path to achieve those goals. So that is what financial planning is. Of course, you can get all kinds of details, got computer programs and stuff, but yeah, it's moving, it's making sure you know and you're moving toward your goals.
Mike, thank you again for that brilliance. If somebody is interested in working with you or getting to know a little bit more of your philosophy, where's the best way they can connect with you?
The best way is by email. You're going to post my email address, or can find me on LinkedIn. And there's a few Mike Wapners out there, but you'll recognize the face.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for your time today, Mike. Thank you for being a part of this community and sharing some of your insights and wisdom. For those of you listening, if you want to be a part of this community and highlight your own experiences or have something you can provide, please reach out to us. Just respond to this newsletter and we will we'll get you spotlighted. But thank you all, and we'll see you next week.